The Met Service says a flash flood watch remains in effect for low-lying and flood-prone areas of 10 parishes. The advisory remains in effect until 8 this morning. The parishes named under the advisory are St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, and St. James. The Met Service says a trough across the Western Caribbean has resulted in unstable weather conditions across the island. The system is expected to remain across the region until Tuesday. The current forecast is for periods of showers and thunderstorms, along with strong gusty winds. Southern and northwestern parishes are forecast to be mostly affected. The Met Service is urging fishers and other marine interests to exercise caution as sea conditions will deteriorate. One of the persons who was shot in a drive-by shooting in central Kingston last week Tuesday has died. Head of the Kingston Central Police Division, Superintendent Beresford Williams, told our news centre that the deceased, who was 17 years old, was pronounced dead at Kingston Public Hospital on Saturday, October 11. He says that the name of the victim is being withheld. 5 other persons were injured in the gun attack that occurred at the intersection of Text Lane and Charles Street.
All that I wish to say for now, that I'm satisfied with the pace of the investigation, and we will continue to implore persons to come forward.
A curfew was imposed in the area as part of efforts to restore calm. The superintendent is calling on residents to cooperate with investigators.
There is a curfew. We had one initially for 48 hours. That has been renewed, and that would end today, but we have made an application for it to be renewed. Well, we are asking them to cooperate, one, with the investigation, and we understand that the curfew would make life a little uncomfortable for them, but it's for the long-term good, but supporting this. So we will be putting more boots on the ground in coming days to ensure that we reduce the opportunity for any such incident.
Superintendent Beresford Williams, head of the Kingston Central Police Division. The St. Catherine North Police have seized equipment used to manufacture and repair firearms following an operation in Lauriston on Saturday. One man was killed during the operation after he challenged the police. He's Andre Trevor Lee Johnson, otherwise called Bob. Commanding officer for the division, SSP Hopton Nicholson, says during the operation, a 3D printer used to print firearm paraphernalia was seized.
At one of the premises where they had that confrontation, we discovered some other equipment and some paraphernalia that are used by the criminal underworld. What you see here is a 3D printer, a very unique 3D printer, and it can be used, and based on all investigations so far, it was being used to print firearm paraphernalia. It is also capable of printing suppressors. Most people know it as silencers that can be placed on firearms, and they are capable. It also can be used to print ghost guns, plastic firearms that can be used that are operable as well.
SSP Nicholson says a laptop computer complete with software designed to operate the printer was also found.
We looked at one of the laptops that was seized at the premises. This premises is where 2 firearms were recovered. And on this laptop, we saw schematics and software that are used to connect to the 3D printer that can be used to print firearm paraphernalia. And we see where the person who had this laptop has the necessary skills and expertise to use the software that are on it to develop and to print things that can be used.
SSP Hopton Nicholson, head of the St. Catherine North Police Division. The police have confirmed that one of the country's most wanted gangsters was fatally shot during a confrontation with the security forces on Saturday. He is Brian Brico King, the reputed leader of the Kitson branch of the Klansman gang in St. Catherine. According to the police, sometime after 1 p.m., members of the JCF Specialized Operations and the JDF came under heavy gunfire in Kitson Town. In that incident, King was fatally shot. A firearm was also seized. King had featured on the St. Catherine North Division's Most Wanted list since 2023. King was one of 3 men killed by the security forces in separate incidents in St. Catherine on the weekend. The other 2 are Andre Trevor Lee Johnson, otherwise called Bob, and Fabian Robinson, otherwise called Critchell. Robinson is reportedly linked to the recent murder of 5 people in Commodore, St. Catherine. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake is calling for moral clarity in the face of rising crime and violence across the island. In his latest force orders, Dr. Blake highlighted the murder of 4-year-old Shannon Gordon on Sunday, October 5. Shannon was among 5 people shot and killed by gunmen in Commodore, Northern St. Catherine. The police chief says the death of the 4-year-old demands a response that goes beyond grief or outrage. Dr. Blake also criticized narratives which seek to rationalize poverty or neglect as the reason for criminal conduct. According to the Commissioner, structural hardship does not explain the choice to take a life. Dr. Blake also reaffirmed his commitment to accountability within the JCF. He emphasized that any loss of life, especially in the context of police action, must be subject to serious and independent review. Dr. Blake also pushed back against media reports that suggest systemic misconduct by the police force. He cautioned that such criticisms must be based on facts. The Commissioner further urged Jamaicans to use tragedy as a catalyst for resolve. He says that the country must honor those who've died at the hands of criminals by confronting the systems, behaviors, and moral failures that enabled their deaths. Crime Stop Jamaica is reporting that of the near 700 tips it received since January, 33% have led to successful outcomes. According to Crime Stop, it received 662 tips between January and September this year. It's a 4% increase when compared to the similar period last year. Crime Stop says the successes include 62 arrests, representing a 48% increase when compared to 2024. Tips have also led to the seizure of 41 illegal firearms, 433 rounds of ammunition, explosives, uncustomed liquor, and cigarettes. Over 1,900 kilograms of marijuana have also been seized. Crime Stop says it has also paid out $7.7 million in rewards. Since its inception in 1989, Crime Stop has received just over 33,800 tips. This has resulted in over 3,000 arrests, the seizure of more than $900 million worth of narcotics, and over 1,000 legal firearms. Over $341 million worth of stolen property has also been recovered. In that 36-year period, Crime Stop has also paid out $88 million in rewards. Advocacy group Hear the Children's Cry, HTCC, is calling for harsher punishment for child murderers. Director of Hear the Children's Cry, Nigel Cooper, says a $1 million bounty must automatically be placed on the head of a suspect in the murder of any child.
Gunmen are indiscriminately just shooting up at locations where young children are. We need a strong disincentive. So if somebody is thinking about carrying out an act and children are there, they should think twice. And one of the ways that we want to send this message is by having an automatic $1 million bounty. And there's no price that can be put on a child's life. So we're not saying, it should be more. It's to send a signal to these gunmen that, look here, if you go to an area and there's children there, know that there's an increased likelihood that you'll be caught, because the response is also going to include a bounty on your head.
Nigel Cooper, director of Hear the Children's Cry. Reports of children dying in tragic circumstances have dominated the news since the start of the new academic year. The most recent reports involve the death of 4-year-old Shannon Gordon, who was among 5 people shot and killed by gunmen in Commodore St. Catherine last week Sunday. A day later, the partially burnt body of 13-year-old Shantina Sargent was found behind her family home in Baileystown, Clarendon. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says public hospitals are still contending with the issue of patients abandoned by their families. Such persons are dubbed social cases, and Minister McKenzie says there are over 500 of them in the public hospital system.
In our public hospitals, there are over 500 or more cases, social cases, where people take their relatives to the hospitals and abandon them in the hospital. And I've said it before, and I'm going to repeat it. You have families who leave their loved ones at the hospital and go off on cruise. They go spend weekend, they have big party. They go away for Christmas, abandon their loved one. And you know what is sad about it? When they die, they give them the biggest funeral. And when they're alive, nobody remembers them.
Minister Mackenzie was speaking at a recent ceremony held by the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation KSAMC to recognize World Homeless Day. On a positive note, Minister Mackenzie says there's been an increase in the number of homeless people who've been taken in by their families.
Over the last couple of years, we have seen a number of persons who have been living in our facilities being reunited back with their families. Many of them have gained employment, meaningful employment. They are back in society. So we're not just holding those persons there. We are trying to rehabilitate them and to put them back out in the public sphere.
Desmond Mackenzie, Local Government Minister. As the debate continues about the crippling effect of the rules which define the public bureaucracy, President of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, Catherine Silvera, is urging Minister Audrey Marks to move swiftly to eliminate the red tape that has been retarding progress. Minister Marks has been tasked by the Prime Minister to remove the obstacles that have been stifling the work of both private investors and the government.
Yes, I think that the government can do more, and we welcome the Minister Audrey Marks being implemented to try and cut through the red tape and bureaucracy. There are a number of different agencies that, as a manufacturer, as an MSME, or as an entrepreneur, that you have to go to really start doing business. So earlier this year, we would have seen that now with the vehicle licensing, you can now do that online. So we're hoping that's just one of many other aspects that need to happen to go online to help to reduce time wasted at some of these agencies in going about doing your daily business.
And Silvera says the JMEA is banking on the government to agree a new electricity license that will provide an incentive for investors to spend more of their money in Jamaica.
Well, at least one of my mandates for my presidency is to see how we can collectively come together, especially with the license renewal coming up in 2027, to try and get our energy costs down, as well as to introduce more renewables and a more modernized grid.
Catherine Silvera, president of the JMEA. Meanwhile, president of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, SBAJ, Garnet Reid, says business will thrive if energy prices are low.
The high energy cost is driving away small and medium-sized enterprises. Some years ago, you see, I went down to Bell Road and I see a number of business booming, Colgate, Palmolive, and Carry Brake, etc. I asked, where are these companies now? And you know what I was told? That all of them, some gone to Trinidad, Barbados, Bahamas, because of what? High energy cost. The high energy cost is killing the SME sector, and I'm calling upon the government, please hurry up and sign that new contract so it will benefit the micro, small and medium-sized enterprise.
And Reid says the best examples of how red tape can stifle entrepreneurial endeavor are provided by Tax Administration Jamaica and the Companies Office of Jamaica.
Tax office, when you go to get a TCC, you have to go back days and days and days sometimes to access the TTC and other documentation. So that is also a challenge. Companies Office of Jamaica, that has been a sore eye. I myself have problems when I go to the Companies Office of Jamaica to obtain my documentation where sometimes you need a document for sole traders, limited liability company, and you have to wait days and they sometimes they turn you down even if you don't bat an eye.
Garnet Reid, president of the SBAJ. In international news now, U.S. President Donald Trump told chairing Israeli lawmakers on Monday that this is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. He was referring to the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza which the U.S. helped broker. Trump's address to the Israeli parliament comes on the day that Hamas released the last 20 living hostages held in the Palestinian enclave. In exchange, Israel is releasing 250 Palestinian prisoners and more than 1,700 other Palestinians detained during the 2-year military operations in Gaza. In his address, the first a U.S. president has done since 2008, Trump said Monday was a day of profound joy after 2 harrowing years. He said the occasion would represent not only the end of a war, but also the possibility of a new age for what will soon be a magnificent region. During a whirlwind trip to the region, Trump also expected to attend a peace summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, alongside other world leaders. And that's it for the news at 7.